It's 10:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Pam, would you like to do our invitations first, prayer?
Sure, do the pledge.
Yeah.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord God, we come to you for ACCOA board members to make good and just decisions. Guide us to do what is best for the seniors in our community. Lead us in the way to hold our meeting that is in a positive, well-balanced order. We pray for our executive director and our employees. Guide them in their daily efforts. In Jesus' name, we bring all these things to you. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Pam McKinnon.
Here.
Dolores Schlicker,
Here.
Bill Potter,
Here.
Robert Turek, present, Chairman Bachhorst,
Here.
Member at Large Commissioner Carolyn Brumman,
Here.
and both Roland Lynch and Mike Zepanowski are called in absent, excused.
Okay. So we have the approval of the agenda. If there's no changes, I'll accept motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Pam, seconded by Dolores to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of minutes of last month's meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March 26th meeting.
I'll second.
Motion by Dolores to approve the minutes of our March 26th meeting, seconded by Pam. Any discussion? Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, we have public comment, limit 2 minutes per person. Please give your name and township. Yes, ma'am.
Judy French, Harrisville. So this is mostly directed for the building committee. You are in the preliminary and you mentioned one of the things for the seniors renting the houses about no pets. I would really strongly consider allowing at least one pet, maybe a medium to small dog or something like, specify, obviously. But so many so many people, they just depend on their pet. That's their companion, so even if there's like an additional fee for a pet or something, I think that's always a good idea because, things happen with pets sometimes, but I would really, really strongly suggest and like to see that at least a pet would be allowed for our seniors to rent. Thank you.
Welcome, thank you. Ma'am?
Patty Thomas, Harrisville Township. I just want to support and endorse this comment. There's a lot of research about the well-being of seniors being connected to their connections. And for many seniors, the animal that they live with is their family. And particularly our people who are up north here. I just think it's a really crucial thing, just as important as any other mental health support that you could give people. I totally support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Close public comment. We'll go to presentation. Andy Shaw, Developer and Construction Manager. Mr. Shaw.
Let's start with the residential. So just running through the houses in general, we have all the electrical rough done. We're connected up, ready for power.
On the HVAC, all the furnaces are in place, they're still finishing a little bit of ductwork. That's coming right along. On the plumbing, all the rough plumbing is in place, the valves and ready to hook up to the septic, put those in. And then, inside they're all drywall, just the drywall's hung, it's not finished. And then we had consumers out and put all the underground electrical in place. But they have a transformer in backorder, so they can't energize until they get this transformer. So we're waiting on that. And then once we have electricity, then we can, we'll have heat in there, we can start finishing the drywall and then go on to the rest of the finish items. So that's where the residential is. I met with Dave Schmidt yesterday from the health department, and hopefully in the next week or so, he's gonna come out. We're gonna inspect each of the septic fields and get that going, but still, that'll still be a midsummer activity, because we don't want any traffic over the top of that, we put them in. So that's where that is. On the outside, we moved the guys that were working on the siding out to help on the footings. And so there's been slow progress on the exterior siding, but the houses are all weather tight, so it's not really doing anything as far as finishing goes. Then out front on the main building, last time we were starting to prepare for the footings, we had a pretty significant undertaking to get prepared for all the footings. Had a number of inspections from SME, Don Gilman, Harry Harvey, another inspector came over to check everything out. And then we passed all those inspections and then had our first pour about 2 weeks ago. And then they had to go together in pieces, and so we've got all those finished. And the last part of that, where the actual anchor bolts of the steel is connected to. And we got all that done, and then the steel showed up, I think it was last week or so, about the 17th, I think it was. And then we had quite a few trucks, we have more steel trucks that are even coming today with more different pieces of the steel. And so the steel erectors are out there and coming right along, their anchor bolts seem to be fine, and they're making good progress. A really good crew of guys. I marveled the other day, it was 27 degrees and I was out there in a coat, and they had one of their fellas out there just in a t-shirt for the 2 hours. Didn't show it was cold at all, you know, just a really tough crew as the steel guys typically are. And they're doing a great job, and they're happy, so that's great. And we're keeping really focusing on our separation of trades. So we've got an isolated area for the steel guys, then an isolated area for everyone else, and just moving people around as we need to keep that space between the two undertakings. Right now, we've excavated for the southern area, the conventional steel around the entire perimeter. And we're setting forms right now, and we hope to pour later this week. And then same thing, you pour the base footer, then the piers, then the anchor bolts, so that'll come together. The steel is actually at our fabricators, and he's very close to submitting the shop drawings. So the same kind of process there, we get shop drawings for the steel, that'll get approved, they'll send us the anchor bolts, we'll put those anchor bolts in for them, and the steel should be coming right behind the other building. So that's that, and so that's a huge transition in the construction. You went from this kind of open field, the footers, the steel, and then after that, it's really just putting pieces of things on the building that you have. So that's that. On the bidding side of things, we're waiting. The big ones that are still unbought or not bought yet are the HVAC, the plumbing, and the electrical. And that we're just still compiling information. And we just had a pretty significant change. We just really finished a few minutes before the meeting, and some of it was just a redesignation of the use of certain areas, but then we added offices, took away the kitchen, added some conference rooms, jiggled around some rooms, and it's quite late in the game to be doing this. Quite honestly, but it happens, you know, it happens all the time, you know, and then my basic idea or belief is that so long as we're making improvements and these improvements are gonna withstand time, then the little bit of hassle right now, we'll just get through it, you know, and so, but we're probably at the end of that, so we need to like, you know, I hope everyone's good, so now when I go back to, all of our people are, it's really mechanical, the electrical, plumbing. We've got to run a full addendum through to the building department, and, it's quite an undertaking, but I think worth it. And so, that's what's going on there. We skinnied up the kitchen a little bit, when you looked at not only the cost of all the equipment, but then somehow that turned on. I don't know, like, is there a battery in here? Or
Yeah.
it just died or something. Oh, there you go. Okay. And how's that?
Yep.
Okay. And, so the kitchen was not only the cost of all the equipment, but just all the peripheral things, the hood and all the HVAC and the electrical, and we were spending too much. This job is really an allocation job. You've got a fixed pile of money and you need to properly spend it, across the board. And then as we're looking at the notion of the ACCOA, having everything you could need from to host a big event, a wedding or something like that, there's a tremendous amount of little things that a caterer owns, right? All these little serving, you know, if you go right from the napkin holder to all these things, it just wasn't smart to put all that money into a thing that there's other companies that do this for a living. So the thinking really got shifted to, there one again. Got shifted to, well, I think it's right at the end of its life there. It seems to, no, it's out. So, what else would you-
You might have the only one that didn't get put new batteries.
Thank you. Thanks. There we go. So, anyhow, on the, kitchen, we're refocusing on the main, Meals on Wheels, the regular, I think the speaker back there, the regular, daily meals, and then being able to house or help with the catering operation when that comes. But I think for a wedding, there's plenty of large catering companies out there. They have all this stuff, and they would just come in, whether it's a wedding or any other kind of event. And then so that we would be using the facility, but then in conjunction with an outside firm. And the other thing too is from the kitchen staff, having a foreign group come in to your kitchen, if I were in the kitchen, it would bother. Right? You don't know who's doing what they're doing, but now you have one person. It's one thing if they're just using some of the tables, using some of the sinks, maybe using some of the warming ovens, and I think it's more manageable condition. They can take their dirty trays. You know, I know when I've been involved in some events like this, they come in warming trays, they get served, they put the dirty dishes back in and take care of all that stuff offsite. So that allowed us to kind of better allocate funds, I think, and it's still gonna allow for these functions to just be handled slightly differently. And then, so that's that. And then the game room, Dr. Turk is really putting a lot of effort into this arcade / game room, and I think it's gonna be wonderful. We're just honing in on the exact size. That was something that was adjusted just recently on the size of the room. It's actually got a little bit bigger. And I think as far as something that's used and enjoyed going into the future, it's gonna be one of the key components of the center. And then with this last kind of jiggling around of the rooms, we're really kind of keeping all things noisy to one side and all things peaceful and kind of professional office to the other. So I think it's really, the site plan is better today, or the floor plan rather is better than it's ever been. And so that's that. And then we're just still in the shopping for all of the various things. Coming in about 2 to 3 weeks, we're gonna make our final allocation. So, okay, it's gonna be 200 grand going to this, 150,000 going to that, and then we'll make we'll start making those final buys. So that's where it is. We're just plugging right along, and the next really big one will be finishing the footers in the south, and having all of our steel erected. And that's a great time in a project, because at that point, it's just filling in the skeleton. So that's where we are.
Any questions for Mr. Shaw?
I had one comment to make. I think most of us don't know, unless we're in the building trades, how much things cost. But I've seen Andy's file cabinet full, and I know Phil has also, of the bids that he's putting out. Every person is making multiple bids on everything. I think most of us probably have an idea of how much kitchen appliances or household appliances cost, because we've probably bought them. So Andy sends us all the kind of the list of expenditures, and I saw a proposal come forth from Kohl's Appliance the other day that I just about choked, and it was in a good way, because it was so low. They are giving us such a deal on their stuff. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so what happened is, I sent the final kitchen layout to Lucy. And it must have sparked something in her. She thought, I better send, it was gonna be Brad, it ended up being Alex. And so Alex came over, we walked through all the houses. And, so then Alex, I showed Alex, all the prints and everything, walked through all the houses. And he said, oh no, we gotta really change up, because we essentially have already went through the purchasing process and had, these appliances lined up. And the short of it is, he picked way better stuff that was much nicer. I think, quite honestly, they gave it at cost, from what I can tell. We've got about $10,000 kitchens coming at us for about $5,000, something like that. But just across the board, he made a better dishwasher, way better refrigerator, much safer oven, microwave's about the same, and then went through the washer and dryer and just gave us a sturdier, brawnier washer dryer that was easy to use. And so, and again, all of their prompting, I didn't even ask them to come out. This was Lucy and Brad. And so we're gonna be going to them on the flooring as well. It's almost for sure that they'll be, giving us a great deal and doing that. But yeah, they're can't say enough. So yeah, if you ever see any of them, say thank you very much. Because when people see these kitchens and the appliances, they're gonna be blown away. I mean, it's nicer than what almost anyone's gonna have in their house. And then we're basically getting it at cost, plus they're putting it in. So, yeah, thanks to Kohl Appliance, they've really taken care of us. But yeah, going to the bidding side just for a moment, it's really like, it's unbelievable how many bids we get on things, but it always, I think I told you guys last time, it just always is a big funnel. You call 22 companies, and then it gets whittled down to 12, and then you have a couple lead horses that jockey around for a while, and then in the end, we make a deal. And like on the steel, I bid it everywhere I could. I couldn't beat FED Corp on the conventional steel. I mean, they got me by a couple $100,000. I just couldn't, so I know we're getting a great deal there. But then on the other side, we've made some changes on our exterior material, and like with L&L Contracting, amazing firm, nationwide firm. And the owner just has a soft spot for senior centers. He's a senior himself, and so he's just great to work with, he'll call me up, he's like, Andy, I got the same thing, get this over to the architect, it's the same quality and it's 20% cheaper. And then he flows through all those savings right to us. So we're having a lot of good people like Goodrich and CNC for the asphalt, and they're just neck and neck, we're giving us great prices. And then I gotta make a decision pretty soon, but just when that hair's difference. And I like, sometimes you'll see really big things, I have a bid for like exterior, it's called EVIS, drive-in or stucco, some people know it's different things. But we had a bid at $559,000, right? We're buying it right around 175, 185,000. And so you find that you got a couple of your outliers, then hopefully you're bouncing right at the bottom at just a couple. And then you make that final move. So yeah, it's all those are coming along, and then again, that's where, like again, I mentioned before, the interaction with the trades, that people will tell you, your 80% of your money is getting spent on these two little details. If you make some changes here, you can really cut back. And that's the kind of interaction that Jonathan I know it's frustrating for him because I'm constantly doing that, right? But at the same time, he keeps it together and then sometimes he just says, no, you know, going with these two details are great, it's the better way to go. But then sometimes he'll flex a little bit. So it's I always call it managed tension with an architect, you know? And, so yeah, that's where we are.
I wanna, you know, that fitness equipment also, there was a price reduction.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the,
50 grand. We had so what's happening that we're working with the 4 top companies that make all this stuff. You got Precor, Lifetime Fitness, Matrix, and then Pro Max. I always say that, but so big firms, nationwide firms. One of our things is we have to know that we can get our machinery fixed and it's gonna be reasonable. But they're all really good people and all 4 of them are putting a lot of effort into our project. And so I'm just really trying to make sure that that final decision is as fair as it can possibly be, right? Because 3 people are gonna lose, 1 person's gonna make it, and they're all, you know, giving us great pricing. But then this one company, Matrix, out of the blue, they just came to us and said, we decided we're doing 2 things, they're kind of giving us some things for free and then taking off some various charges. The short of it is, it was a $50,000 reduction. And it put him straight in the lead position, you know, and this is the guy, Joe Britwall, his family happens to have a place over on the lake near Black River. And, yeah, so I mean, we're really close, we just had a little change in the configuration and so I'll give it one last iteration, but that buy will be happening very soon, and I happen to be down, I work out at Georgia, this place down in, Oscoda called Michigan Fit Club, and I was asking the owner what he paid for a few of the things. And we're getting, like, right off the bat, we're at least 50% of retail. We're probably in the 40 to like 33% of retail. He's paying retail, so I didn't say a word, you know, like, yeah, that's a lot of money, you know? But yeah, we're getting an amazing for the value, and again, that's what we're trying to do, right? The fix, it's always the pile's the same, and you wanna get as, you know, stretch it as far as you can in any given item. But even on all the kitchen equipment, I just spent hours, I mean, probably 16 hours on the phone with John Lowry. And there's the kitchen equipment, you can get a really good 6-burner stove for maybe 3 grand or 30 grand. You know, and so it takes a long time to understand, well, why would anyone pay 30,000? Well, you know, if you're running a 4 Seasons where they're cooking 24 hours, you need the 30 grand stove. But, you know, you don't want the 3 grander, that's really not the way to go. And honing in, okay, the 4,500 bucker is the way to go for us. And so it's just doing that on every single, you know, machine, every single component in that kitchen, making smart decisions. Like they've got really nice sealers, and we're gonna have 2 of them. So for the Meals on Wheels, just fast and good, you know, and if one breaks down, we'll have the other one. And then the company is known for quickly responding to a broken down machine, so little things.
okay,
I have 2 or 3 concerns, actually. I was looking at the blueprints downstairs, and I noticed that we don't have a loan closet for our wheelchairs and that sort of thing.
You got it.
We do have it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see it on there.
We just.
Okay. And also the office spaces, there doesn't seem to be very many, because with all of the new stuff we're gonna have to hire more people.
We got
you
it.
got that?
Got that done too?
You know,
We're
that
one step
Brittany
ahead
saw,
of you,
that
Dolores.
Brittany
I
saw is
guess.
absolutely-
And this has only been a week ago that I looked at all this.
Problem solved.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I think we're all set, right?
Yeah.
And the food pantry we got, in case you're bringing that up. And we have the
Yeah,
Office
That's,
supplies, yeah.
yeah.
Everything's done, yep,
we're good.
we're good.
Okay, I do have one more question though. We're gonna have this gym, and these 16-year-olds is gonna come in and play basketball. And we gotta hire somebody to clean up after these kids, and we gotta have somebody to monitor these kids. Can we use millage money that is directed for seniors
No,
to take care of these 16-year-olds?
the business model for the building is really set up to be self-sustaining on any given activity, right? So it's normal that in like a normal kid goes to play basketball, pay $3, let's just say, right? Something like that, or maybe part of an overall monthly subscription. But the goal, component by component, is that it's individually self-sustaining, right? So let's just take the gym head out, right? So whether it's volleyball, the batting cages, all things that will be used and need to be both cleaned up, maintained, and kind of monitored. So that should always just about balance, right? So if we're bringing in, $3,000 a month in these various, fees for playing this and playing that, our costs to do that is around $3,000 a month. It's not gonna be to the penny, but generally speaking, so the, like the money that'll come in monthly to, to be part of the gym, we'll see what services that in total includes, but it's nothing for someone to pay $20, $30. I think we pay as a family $80 a month, for our gym membership, right? And so it doesn't have to be at that level. But let's just say you start having 1,000 people paying 20, that's $20,000 a month, right? So what's gonna happen is I think the equipment will probably wanna have it so that when you're part of the workout gym, the actual equipment part of it, then you'll get the other as an ancillary benefit or at a discount rate, something like that. But collectively, the pool of money coming in from that zone should definitely more or less pay for all the expenses attributable to that zone. But again, not to the hair, but take the arcade game room area, granted, it's gonna be, in a way, there'll be things in there you can do for free. You wanna play pool, ping pong, those won't cost you anything. But I know, we take the kids over to Vista Lanes, give them $20, last them for 10 seconds. It's a buck of play, and I just hope that the cost of the games and to do things in the game room should be really cheap. I'm thinking 25 cents a game or something like that. So you give the kid $10 and he can play all night while you do whatever it is you're gonna do. And so, but again, if you start bringing, the arcades oftentimes are really profitable. Even if you buy everything, right? So if I rent the building, buy all the machinery, pay someone to monitor, I'm still making money. So the fact that you're just gonna have very little additional expenses, cleaning and little supervision. And so I think it's gonna be the opposite, actually. We're gonna have to be careful to not go too far, right? So to monitor, you don't want too much money coming in. It needs to be the best, cheapest value, some really nice sweet spot where it's affordable to almost everybody, covers 100% all the expenses by the ACCOA, and has a sinking fund component for future, kind of capital type expenditures. So, yeah.
Did you think any more about the dance floor if we rent out the dining room?
Yeah, that one came back a solid 100%. I talked to a lot of people. Rooms like that are always carpeted. And the dance floor component is just, either one, it's supplied by the caterer itself, or two, it's just a component deal. You can buy them and they just fit right together and slide down. So yeah, the acoustics and the general maintenance is that you, like, 100% of them are carpeted. And then they had a dance floor that either was permanent or that, in our case, it's one thing if you have a room, your whole building is designed to house weddings every weekend, so you have a built-in dance floor. But I think for the variety of uses that are going on, either one, we could dedicate a little dance floor, or two, we'll just have the portable one and work out. I think, the portable dance floor has got benefits because any activity can want a different configuration as to how they want it to lay out. I think that's where your portable dance floor is gonna be a little better.
And these are just tiles that stick together?
Just like a puzzle piece, basically. They have a lot, when I was looking at them, a lot of them have like little hooks. So you'll start on one side, then you'll add the hook on, like when you do a hardwood floor. So then it seams right in, and then you take it apart the exact opposite way. So yeah, as far as floor basically looks like a perfectly good floor. But, for dancing.
Yeah.
you'll be able to cut a rug out there, Dolores, will be,
You'll be out there on it.
I would prefer the hardwood floor to be down there and stay there instead of somebody having to pick up all these tiles and then take them all back apart again. It's
Yeah.
time consuming.
It is, but I think it's all about frequency of use and.
Well, we're hoping to use it quite a bit. If it's this big, beautiful building, we should
Yeah.
rent it out quite often for weddings.
Yeah, but still, let's even say you do it 10 times a year, that's percentage wise, that's 10 days out of 365, so. What is that, 2% of the time, so, but I wouldn't rule it out, Dolores, I know, if you, we'll take a much closer look at it, I think that when you set up for a wedding, you set up 100 things, and doing the floor is just not gonna be any incrementally big deal. And so you do have a trade-off, you put in a fixed location, then it is what it is, whereas if you have it mobile, you can lay the room out any way you want to for that matter, and so there's a little bit of trade-off, but we'll just be cognizant of it, keep it in mind and try to have the best flow. As those things, we don't have to make that decision right yet, as these actual rooms take shape and we can kind of see them and feel them, then we'll see. If there's a spot that was like, look, the dance floor clearly 100% should be right here, then, but we might, just think about it, even in this room, you could have different, if you had a head table and maybe they had a different amount of people or a different amount of room, that affects where you may want that dance floor, even from a wedding perspective. Maybe they've got a U shape, maybe they've got an arc shape, so I'm inclined, I just know you want to maintain as much flexibility as you can, generally speaking. And like when it comes to electrical and plugs and everything you can dream of, everything ends up laying out different than when you had it in your mind, whether it's how someone does their office, how someone does their bar room, it's just amazing. And so my life experience is just like maintain flexibility and then be happily surprised when the person that you didn't anticipate, you could have the dance floor here, and sure enough, you walk in for the first wedding and they got it over there, and it looks great, and you just would have never dreamed that up. So that's as not only on the dance floor, but kind of all things collectively for having portable bleachers, portable stage. There's a lot of things under that rubric of allowing flexibility. So.
Thank you.
I have one more question. You talked about the sealers for the home delivered meals. Now, those are through Oliver, right?
I'll get you the spec on them. I couldn't tell you, I can't remember the name, tell you 100%, but I just know that they were in, where did they show up? It was on one of the drawings, but I can just send you the spec he's got, you can see, but they're the one you guys have works, of course.
Right.
But this is, just the latest and the greatest, it's faster, it seals better,
Okay, well, the only thing is, the one we have now from Oliver, we get all of our products for free, or, we get the rental and everything for that for free because we're buying their products.
Oh, I got you, so you don't really own the machine.
Right,
They just gave it to you, and then it's kind of an inducement to use their stuff. So we'll just see which way works out best, if they're really, you're kind of locked into them, it sounds like, from a product purchasing standpoint, because you got the machine. Generally, I like to stay away from that, because we'll just look at it either way. If by owning two of the other kind, you can get your product anywhere, and maybe you like this product better than that product, but we'll definitely take a look at that, and we're not over that, but I'll definitely, I'll send you the specs on that, and we'll just see which way pencils out the best.
Oh, Carolyn's got a question.
May I make an assumption that such things, particularly as the kitchen and the office areas, those two particularly in focus, because they are daily staff utilized. May I make an assumption that they have had access to making decisions in both of those areas
Well,
their
decisions-
input?
This input, yeah, you know, what happens is you can only have one captain on the ship, right? And you start violating that, it gets into a problem, but the captain's definitely taking a lot of input, you know, so. But I would say that, you know, like with Wendy and the team, you know, they brought up some things and we responded in hours, you know, we just got it. And so as we're honing in on the machinery, like, we don't have the list yet, right? But as soon as we do, we'll get it over. And we've had multiple meetings with the kitchen staff to, you know, get their feedback. But keep in mind, there's two different perspectives, you know, one is today's perspective on what's going on and making decisions if you're that one person doing the thing today. And there's another perspective of where does this go in the future? What kind of flexibility do we want? And so it's balancing those two all the time. So, but
And there's a difference between input and response to that.
yeah. I take everything that anybody says and really try to think it over carefully, you know. Sometimes, and this is even true with the architect and meeting, right? So sometimes he thinks it over and it's like, no, you know, it's a bad idea, you know, and then, but sometimes he'll be like, yeah, that's a good idea. And so I try to do the same thing. I mean, I can tell you, these changes in my mind, this last round of changes, were all improvements. You know, that's why I support it. They in every way, every item made things better. You know, but at some point, that's the thing you have to understand, you have to cut that off at some point, because that's always the case, right? When the building's done, you'll always walk in and you'll always think, I should put that door there, and it'll drive you crazy. So you have to just, you know, if it doesn't work, if that door just simply doesn't work, you can move it over there. But generally speaking, you know, as we get to the end of the line, you'll always have the things, I'll always go to the building and think, I should have put the ceiling higher or lower. I mean, that's just how it goes, you know, but the game is to get as many things right as you can and have the overall thing work really well, so. But yeah, I mean, when you can ask Wendy, I think, do you feel like you're getting a fair say in everything, is it?
I'm gonna plead the fifth.
I think that's unfair. I just heard a whole list of everything that he just changed. But if you have an issue, I think you should bring it now.
I brought it.
I haven't heard it.
Well, he's changed it.
But
But just what
nobody
you
say that he,
But I'm just saying, I don't feel like from the beginning, we worked together. I feel now that it's the end, it's getting better.
well, that would have been better than I plead the fifth. Because that kind of sounds like, no.
Yeah, in that regard, I think, and I get it, look. There's, as these things come together, right, we're taking input from so many people. And that changes, right? Like the things that this group is concerned about, they have no concern on this other one, right? And so we're at the stage where the fine tooth comb exercise by Wendy was appropriate. You know, would have liked to see it yesterday, but still happy that it got in there anyhow. So I think, and then again, you know, it's about each person's role at any given time.
I don't feel that I feel that none of us had good communication. It wasn't just me, the board, Andy. I feel we probably all should have been sitting down together a long time ago.
See, I'm a champion, actually. I can tell you, there's been constant, I don't agree with that statement, just being honest. I can tell you, there's been nothing but open interaction, in my opinion, you know, and I think any, kind of statement against that, I mean, not that I really care, it's all yesterday's news, you know. But, you know, I can tell you, I've just run, the most open, interaction possible, you know, and if there's someone to sit in the sidelines while the game goes on, and then come in at the end of the game and say, oh, you know what, at the first quarter, we should have done X and Y. Don't really apply, you know, so everyone's been around from day one, and everyone's had an opportunity to, pipe up, and if they chose not to, I can't control that.
Right.
I can say that at the beginning, everything was pretty much chaotic. We had to get moving, we had to do this. Andy's had an open door every day. I go down there quite often, probably 4 times a week, and sit down with Andy. And Andy will be the first, and I'll be the first one to tell you, open door policy that Andy's had is, he is, I go in there once in a while and say, I know you're super busy and I don't want to bother you. And he said, oh no, I got time for you. So anybody that wants to go down there, you know, and yes, we were kind of separate. You guys would say something down in the kitchen, Andy'd say something and they'd say, well, we're good. And then instead of going to Andy's building and saying, this is what we need to do, or this is, what do you think of this idea? We didn't do that.
Right.
And now that the things are starting to come together, all of a sudden it's like, well, we should have done this. But I think in the future, from here on forward, let the past be the past and let's get together. If you have an idea, I've told you several times, I think we need to go down there and see Andy and go down and see the houses. And you guys are super busy. He's super busy. Everybody has an agenda but from here on out, I think the changes that we made were phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think the changes that you brought up was absolutely necessary. We overlooked the pantry, we overlooked the file, we overlooked what NEMSCO required. You guys knew it, we didn't know, I didn't even know it until you brought it to our attention. So I think now that everybody's in the same circle, I think it's gonna go much, much smoother.
And I think now too, like previously, there wasn't, we had a blueprint, but there wasn't necessarily every little room. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is the office area, this is this, but we didn't have like writing on there exactly what every little room was. But then once they started getting further, more information started getting on the blueprints, then people were kind of like, oh, well, we don't have this, or we don't have that, you know, so. I mean,
I think
it's-
from here on, I think here, you know, now that we're in a full circle,
yeah,
I think we're starting to really communicate well. And I think the past has got to be the past and we'll move forward from here.
Well,
Amen.
excuse me, I'm sorry. Every meeting he has sat here and said, come see me, talk to me. I've heard him say, if there's something that I don't have, then bring it to me. So it isn't like a new thing. I mean, I've sat here through the meetings.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And anybody that wants to see it, I'm
Know
sure.
everything that NEMSCO requires unless we bring it. He can't know, he's not a cook, he's not a chef. He doesn't know what a kitchen may require. On the other hand, somebody that's been here for years and years and years, that may be getting close to retirement, might not be the one to design the kitchen for the future person that has learned to do everything in a different way. So it just needs to be, this is our program, this is our goal, and let's do it together, not wait till the end and say I didn't get a chance.
well, we
I don't
did
think
that.
We're doing that
You
now.
came in, when you were talking about the kitchen, you came and sat down with the girls in the kitchen. You came and asked what they were interested in. I mean, there's just little things that have been coming up along the way, so.
But that's any building project.
I'm
even if
not
it's a
saying,
house.
I'm not gonna sit and argue with a board member.
No,
Sorry.
we're good.
Not doing-
Good.
We'll move forward.
Yep, let's go. It's, I can tell you, I've been, generally speaking, it's gone really nicely, just so you guys know, I've been part of really bad situations, it's been quite nice, yeah, so they have little things pop up, it just always, it's no problem, it always goes like that, and it happens where somebody can look at the same drawing 10 times, and then on the 11th time, something dawns on them, oh, you know what, and so it's just human nature, it's fine, my goal is just super clear, make the best building we possibly can and spend the money as wisely as we can and then allocate every dollar for, you know, and we're not to buy the $30,000 oven, which means we can't have 2 other things that we should have had. That's a bad situation. Just to make all those allocations as carefully as we can. That's what we do.
Andy, can I drag you back to the game room for a
Sure.
second? You talked about that earlier and I was kind of curious about that. What was your vision on that? What, you're gonna put the arcade games in?
So that's been evolving, for months now, quite honestly, and initially, I don't think there was this, planned for this really great game room slash arcade room. It's almost like an ancillary thought, this had this game room. It's kind of grown, both in square footage, money allocation, and kind of a component of the center, monthly, quite honestly. And now I'm seeing that it's probably gonna be one of the things that the community talks about the most, that it's gonna be this fun thing for all ages. That's the beautiful thing. And it kind of started with Phil.
Well, how many were you gonna put in?
So right now, the room, I think the latest drawing was like 30 pieces of something like that, around
30 pieces of equipment.
30 pieces of equipment, but keep in mind, so 2 foosballs, a ping pong table, it's gonna be fun. And one thing that we're really carefully managing is fun for all ages, right? So,
The thing I was kind of, the majority of arcade games are electronic. And my experience with electronics is you always need to have a technician keeping them alive.
amen.
Now, is this something that the center is gonna own and will be responsible for the maintenance and repair of the machinery?
Yeah, so.
Are you gonna buy us new machines or used machines?
So all great questions, right? And quite honestly, Dr. Turk is spearheading a lot of that. And what we're coming down to, so I have a general thing. One of my notions that I put forward is less electronics, more skill-based things, right? If you really know how to play pool and you've ever tried to become good at it, there's a lot of math. It's a brainy kind of game. Ping pong, at least hand-eye coordination, even throwing darts, all those kind of things. So I trend towards those things, right? More human interaction, less things that can go wrong. Air hockey, still fun to play, and I'm 60 years old, so foosball, we've had on our vacations, it seems like that's one of the things you see the families doing, all ages playing foosball. So, I think just 2 things. One, allocating the money for the kind of machines. We're trending towards those things that people play, interact, human beings. On the electronic side, 2 things, and this goes to our fitness equipment as well, is buying them initially from and with the thinking of who's gonna maintain this, who's gonna fix it? And that's something Dr. Turk's put a lot of work in so far. We looked at warranties. We're seeing that the newer games are cheaper, just not built that well. The older games still are kind of fixable. And then seeing who these people are, these maintenance people, and what they charge. And so all those things are being studied, and then, we think, I buy this nice new machine and it's gonna be better. Well, the nice machine is a piece of garbage, and it's just not built as well as they used to be. And so really, you're actually better off buying the older machine that's brawnier, and even though it still needs some repair from time to time, its overall life cycle maintenance is impeccable. And
Sounds like you're thinking of the important things, so.
Dr. Turk's had a lot of that, I have to say. But the goal, again, I think in this is I go to I take the kids to various places, and I've noticed that going to some places and 99.5% of the machines are functioning, and maybe one of them has an out of order sign. Go to another place, it seems like half of them have out of order signs.
And no
And
matter how good their technician is.
yeah, could be that, or the machines, or just their overall maintenance policy, whether they're engaging in preventative maintenance or not. And so we're gonna look at all those things. The goal is definitely to walk in there and have all of them working. And then to have, as we're doing cost accounting, kind of looking at the arcade and saying, this arcade brought in 2,000 this month, and we have 1,500 in costs attributed to it, or whatever those numbers might be. And so that's just, but again, the intangible of that room is if you could measure the fun, right? And so all ages having a good time, and that's just gonna be great. And so I think for all of us, it's just gonna be nice to have, it's gonna be cool. And then hopefully we can, because you don't have to pay for all the other stuff that normal arcade would pay for, hopefully we can get back to 25-cent plays, and parents can, give their kids $10 and have it be a good time when they're working on it.
If you expect the arcade then to be a cash cow, there'll be a lot of money flowing in and out of it. You don't want to throw that on Wendy. You'll want to put somebody else in charge of that so that she doesn't have to chase quarters.
Jason, so I think, no, I hopefully, 2 years after the building is up and running and everything's going well, they'll be really fine honing in. You say, okay, we're able to cut the cost of a monthly membership to $17. We've done all of our math, and that's a number where the ACCOA makes a little bit of money. They can put some reserve fund, they're maintaining the machinery and keep the place. Or maybe it's like just absence, this $20 not cutting it, we gotta move it to $23 or whatever it might be. But I think you'll have the data to hone right in, and if 25-cent plays are working, great. But maybe you're gonna look at it and say, you know what, it's gotta be 50 cents, there's a lot of maintenance on these machines there. So, but all those adjustments, and I hope the board meeting is just gonna be, Arcade brought in X, cost us Y, we've got a few extra bucks, and I think that's how it should flow going forward.
We won't know until we get there.
What's that?
I said we won't know till we get there.
Exactly. And,
We can beat dead horse all day long, but we won't know till we get there, so it's all an adventure.
Make good estimates along the way and then react to the real data.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We have no other.
Back to it.
Okay, back at her, eh? Bitter at her. Move on to executive director's report. Wendy,
That's Carolyn.
what's that?
Carolyn.
Carolyn, she
I really didn't
announced
have
earlier
anything.
that she didn't have any.
Oh, she.
But
Yeah.
thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, she announced, I missed that. She announced earlier that she didn't have anything, so.
Okay. I just have a couple of things. I just have a couple of things here. The thing is, hiring a part-time human resources manager. I know that's one of the positions that we're gonna need. Patty and I kind of been picking up the slack on that since I've been here for the almost year. But I feel we need a dedicated human resource person, especially with more jobs coming in, more responsibilities. So Patty and I've been searching, some postings in the state of Michigan, trying to compile a posting, put it together, so we can get that posted sooner than later. And let's see. Our congregate meals are still going up. We're having lots of activities. Thanks you, Judy. She spends a lot of time donating to crafts and whatnot. So just different activities. We had a eclipse party. That was fun. Tomorrow night, we're doing a Western party. So just some different activities. On April 23rd, Kelly Robinette from NEPSCO was here to do our congregate and home delivered meal assessment. And I think it went pretty well. She is retiring after 23 years, so this will be our last assessment we get from her. So we're just waiting for the final comments, concerns, whatnot. And finally, that 4-page report that Susan Cray left to the board when she left, of her comments, concerns, things that needed to be taken care of, we've completed it. So pretty much everything that was on there has been taken care. I mean, of course, there's still a couple of things like the SBA loan that we're still working on, but other than that, we've been able, board members, myself, employees have gotten everything crossed off that list.
Well, one of the main things that you just completed was the job descriptions for everybody,
Okay.
Anybody who's worked in a major corporation knows that they have a job, when you get hired for a job, you have a book binder there that says, here are your job descriptions. That's what she's completed, which was a huge accomplishment.
I would also like to, invite all of the board members to come tomorrow night to our Western dinner. I've contacted a few people, probably 6 or 7, and they're coming in to sing for us. So they're gonna sing whatever, they asked me, what do you want us to sing? I said, we don't care, just start singing it. So anyway, they're gonna start about 4 o'clock.
And then I guess one other thing I didn't have on here, starting next week, I've been getting a lot of, flyers from other Commission on Aging and going out to websites, getting their newsletters. Most all of them serve their lunches or dinners in a time frame. Like, if they serve lunch, they serve it from noon to 1:30, or if they serve dinner, it might be 4:30 to 5:30. We're gonna try to serve dinners, especially now that summer's rolling around, people are busy. We're gonna start serving dinner at 4, right up until 5. So, I mean, if somebody's got a sporting event that they wanna go to and it starts at 5:30, they can come in and eat at 4, and then they can be out of here and on their way to their sporting event. I have a lot of seniors that don't come to dinners because they go to their grandchildren's or great-grandchildren's sporting events. So that's the reason they can't come to dinner. So we're gonna try it and see how it works.
Good. I have a question. The SP loan. SBA loan. Have we heard from the attorney? Have we heard from Mr. Avery? Have we heard anything from anybody?
No,
And what action are we taking? Because it's past time. We need to make a decision.
I have a meeting with the attorney tomorrow, our attorney.
Good. And can you send out like an email update on that, just so I can, because him holding us hostage over this is utterly ridiculous, and my patience are done. Ready to hire my own attorney over it.
Is this Alex that you're contacting?
Yes.
I wanted to add one other thing. Wendy at the last meeting said that we were pretty much at full staff. And that is about 26.
26.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When Wendy took over in the previous year, it was at 38, 39, 40, something around that. And Susan Cray, when she came in, I wasn't here, but said something to the effect that, you're doing less work with more employees than when I was here. And a lot of that came down to Wendy to get the number of employees in line. So Wendy is doing everything that needs to be done with 26 employees as opposed to 39, 40, which was before. So that's a huge accomplishment, especially in light of the fact that a millage dropped off and she had 200,000 less funds to do this with. So she did what needed to be done.
And a few of them are even just fill in, like, we have 2 additional Meals on Wheels drivers that just come in as needed. They're not really on a schedule. They just come in if we need somebody. And then we have a nurse, she just comes in 1 day a week. So an additional nurse from Christie.
So then I have another question. In the year prior to your, we had like a waiting list for services. Are we accommodating everybody in need?
As a matter of fact, as of this morning, we have 0 people on our waiting list.
Yes.
We only had 3, and that was because they were new clients, they had to be assessed, and then we had to hook them up with a worker, so we're usually at 0. We try to get them in, I mean, because we lose people, and then we gain people, so. And a couple of the direct care workers are even not fully staffed. I mean, they'd like more hours, so as we get more clients, we're giving them more hours.
Fantastic, so. Proud of all of you.
Me too, I'm proud of my team.
And I wanna say I'm proud of the team, and especially Wendy and Patty, with all the stuff that's been going on, but we had a stage there of illnesses that, the staff was short and everybody right from the bottom up, I mean, they stepped up and took over and it was a well-oiled machine. You got everything going. I mean, I was in here a couple days and it's like, oh, okay, she's sick, I'm like, wow, sure, we got it. Like, okay.
There's been a lot of.
So illnesses is,
COVID, strep throat going around, so we've been probably the last 2 months, very, very short staffed. So,
yeah, and it's a job well done. I was really impressed, so just so you know.
I mean, everybody's been jumping in. My assessor Cindy, she's even, you know, if you need me to go out and do some, direct care work, you know, like everybody's always jumping in, whatever they can do, they will pick up and do.
Yeah, we got a great staff, right?
Yeah, we have a fabulous staff team.
Yeah. And it takes a team.
And I'm gonna take a moment and give a little credit to the one that I feel has had a hand in all of this from the get-go. I think God has his hand on this. He has been working with us throughout this whole 1.5, 2-year process. And he's carrying this senior center and allowing the right people to be in the right spots and has done remarkable things for the people we have.
Okay, Wendy, do you have anything else?
I do wanna thank Jill, one of our nurses. I've been getting some emails and some feedback from the public about how wonderful she is. She's full of resources. She previously worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield and was like a resource navigator. And I mean, she can ask somebody a question and be like, what are you looking for? And I had a gentleman in last week that happened to be looking for a place to get dentures. And she came right in and she's like, what type of insurance do you have? Were you in the military? This, that, and another. And I mean, she like had a list of places for him to go to just like that, and phone number, she had wrote the phone numbers down. And then I got an email over the weekend from a member of the community stating that she's heard all this wonderful stuff about Jill and how she's so full of resources and getting resources to clients and stuff. So, I mean, she's like a wealth of knowledge out there. So.
Good. Okay. Job well done.
Thank you.
I really believe it. Like I said, I come in every morning. You guys are doing fantastic. So we'll move on to treasurer's report.
Roland is absent, but you all should have that in front of you. The only thing I would add to this is, it's a little bit, obviously, this is dated March 31st. Right about now, I think we're about 4/5 of the funds used of the original allotment for the new building. So we're getting towards the end of that initial 6.25 million. So once that is all used, then we contact the MEDC to get the second allotment. So that number down at the bottom, obviously in the last month has gone up. This is delayed a little bit, but so we still have some of those funds available, but we're getting down to the end.
Okay.
So I would make a motion, we accept this treasurer's report balance sheet as presented, subject to audit.
We have a question.
Question, it appears that have paid 9,615 towards the principal on the SB loan. How much, isn't there interest that runs against that also?
Yeah, we don't, being the situation we're in with that loan, we have no access to see where we're at or anything. So this is basically probably not accurate because Patty is just taking off of the 150 the amount that we've paid since the date of the
So
first payment.
It's possible the 9,600 that's been paid might be all interest.
Oh, 100%, I'm sure it is. And it was deferred for 18 months
Right,
with
but interest was,
interest was
Yeah.
collecting, so we
Okay.
probably, in all fairness, owe more than that $150,000. I don't
Right.
know, we don't have access to see. So this is just basically what we know the beginning of the loan was, what we know we've paid on it, so, yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Did you make a motion, Bob?
I did.
We have a motion on the floor to, accept the treasurer's report, subject to audit.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Bob, seconded by Pam to accept the treasurer's report, subject to audit. Roll call.
McKinnon,
Yes.
Schlicker,
Yes,
Potter,
Yes.
Turek, yes, Bachhorst,
Yes.
and Zepanowski.
Here.
Okay. Motion accepted. Secretary's report,
Nothing.
nothing on the secretary's report. Committee reports,
I'll go over this. Everybody hopefully has this. We had a meeting of the Finance and Budget Committee a couple weeks ago. One of the main things we had was, we had a presentation by our insurance agent, who was with, used to be Lappin Agency, and now it's called Assured Partners. And it was a very interesting meeting, basically going over the state of the insurance industry right now. And you guys who were at the meeting, plug in if I misstate. He said our existing insurer is getting out of the business. They're pulling out of that. And so when somebody steps in to take their place, our premiums are going to go up. And part of our premiums are going to go up 5 to 10%. Another part of our premiums are going to go up to 20, 30%. So we need to prepare for that. And Wendy had those numbers. We also had him talk about what our increased insurance will be once we add the 8 senior bungalows and the nearly 50,000 square foot Sunrise Center. So he talked about that, but a couple things we really got is that he said that Northeast Michigan, the things that we've been going through, other companies have been going through also, and other organizations have been going through also. So we're not alone with some of that. But I did follow up with one thing on him afterwards that was kind of pertinent. And in the past, it was put forth to the board that the security cameras that we needed got us a lower premium on our insurance. It was either put forth both that they were required and they got a lower premium. Well, both of those are not true. We are not required by our insurance company to have a certain number of cameras, and it is not getting us a lower premium on our insurance. So I'm convinced that Andy will get together with the new building project committee and Wendy, and they'll design a proper amount of surveillance, or if you want to call it security cameras. But I think that was interesting that was not the truth. The other thing is, I can only speak for myself. I am completely comfortable with that agency and that agent. He told us some things, and he would be there for us to answer questions. And whenever I've had a question for them or needed, they've been right on it. So I'm completely comfortable that Wendy doesn't need to go out and find another person that gets multiple quotes. I think he is doing absolutely the best for us that he can do. That's just my personal opinion. We discussed the budget. Now 6 months into the budget, Wendy, no changes were requested or required. But here again, it is 6 months in, so I mean, it's another 6 months. You're gonna have to start doing it again. So it's amazing how fast that 6 months has gone. And it sounds like the audit is finally completed. So here again, that's only 6 months until the new audit starts, so. So the next thing, we also discussed the increased expenditures that'll be required by the Sunrise Center and how it's going to be designed so that we can try to make it self-sustaining. And an SBA update that nothing had been heard from that. But the main thing we talked about was the upcoming, the millage language. And I'll update again, our current millage expires next year. So we need to decide when we want to either extend that or how that works. If we do that this year, in a general election year, we don't have to pay to put that either on the August or November ballot. If we waited till next year, we have to pay, I believe it's going to be, when I talked to Stephanie, like $24,000. So it's conceivable that we could wait to next year to do it, but it would save us $24,000 if we did it this year. And so the committee met to talk about two different possibilities, and they follow the report. And both of these have been approved by the county, Tom Weichel. So the language in both of these we know is good. We can decide to ask for a millage, either increase or keeping it at the same. And we can decide, if we vote on one of these today, we can decide whether to put it on the August ballot or the November ballot. Now, in attending some other meetings, it sounds like there's going to be at least 5 other entities asking for millages. And it sounds like to me, most of them are going to be in the August. 911, EMS, MSU Extension, Library, and I believe one other place that I can't remember, but at least 4 or 5. If we vote on what we want to do today, and if the board authorizes me, I can go to, the deadline is April 30th. I can go to the county courthouse on that date and see if everybody is running a millage in August. We can decide we want to do it in November or vice versa. So if we vote on this one way or another today and you authorize me, I can kind of decide when it would be best. If we're in agreement that it's best not to have ours at the same time as everybody else. And that's something we can debate also. So the two different millage proposals that I have there, both have been put, Tom Weichel has looked at. One is to basically extend it, the existing amount, for 5 years, 0.825 mils. The other one is to up it to 0.925 mils for 5 years. So we have a choice. And the reason why we put this forth to the board is that we're going to have quite a few more expenses come on board initially when the Sunrise Center opens up. And so, we are going to use funds that we have in reserve for those initial expenses. And this would give us an idea, maybe, it's just so many things that are going to be hard to tell going forward. Until the senior center gets up and running, people aren't going to be booking it for weddings until next wedding season. Things like that. There's just a lot of variables. So to refresh everybody's memory, this 0.825 for 2 years back in 21 and 22, it was over 1. That got us over $870 some thousand a year for those 2 years from property taxes. And then last year, a small millage dropped off and it went back down to our 0.825. So that's what we have right now, 0.825. So we could decide to keep that the same. We could bump it up to 0.925 as for that. We can decide whether to do that in August. We can decide to do it whether in November, or we can decide to do it, wait till next year where we would have to pay expense. So those are our options.
Authorize you to make your best decision when you get more information.
I think we need to decide, number one, do we want to put it on at the same amount, or do we want to increase it slightly?
I will tell you that, and we did hassle this in the finance meeting. If you do go for the 9.25, there is nothing that you are allowed to modify that downward. You can't go up, but you can go downward. If you see after 2 years that the new building really is sustaining itself, and we really, I mean, you don't want an excess of money in reserve. You want adequate, but not an excess. And I have been involved in millages, in assessments that we lowered it for a year. And then went back to what it was. You win so many points if you do that. If in the best judgment that you have as a board, if you say, no, we don't need quite all of that. We'll take 5/10 of a millage down or whatever. And put that out there for 1 year or 2 years, whatever you feel you need to do. The public really appreciates your wisdom and your care and caution in spending their money. I can't emphasize that enough. Now, if you're not able to do that, well, you just do the best you can with what you got. But, and I'm not pushing for the higher number, but if you choose to do that, recognize that's an option for you, because we really don't know what 2 years down the road is going to be with that building. I mean, we can sit back and second guess it and be pretty accurate. Well, we don't know. You really don't know. So I want to share that with you. Don't be fearful that it may be a little more than you really need. Because there's a corrective element you can do, and you can take it down for just 1 year. You don't have to do it for the balance of the 5 years. But you can do it for 1 year. And
With that new building, if we do go the 0.925, I would much rather say we went to the 9.25 and keep it open than to have to say, oh, we should have went to the 9.25. Now we have to shut it down on it, for a month or two. That would look terrible, especially for the seniors.
well,
I
and it
really
proves the
believe.
public's point.
Correct.
That money is costing, and when that went in, my recollection of it is, everybody said, oh, no, building, just because we're putting in a new building, it's gonna pay for itself. It's gonna cover itself. Don't worry, you won't have to pay more for it. Now, we are going to increase on services. We are going to have that, and that does cost more money when we
Correct.
have more services. But, it would be terrible if we had to do that, Phil.
Right, I know, that's what I'm saying. I would not want that to happen.
Because that then proves that your millage was for the building.
Correct.
How would we explain in this millage, it's saying, the residents age 60 and older. Now, if
That has no bearing on your millage. My understanding, the housing stands alone. Does it not?
But what about the game room and the gym and all this and that? It's,
Those are the increased services that you're providing.
right, but if they're not paying for itself, are we gonna have to use millage money to pay for it?
What would you use your millage money for?
For seniors?
I know I'll be in there.
for
gonna
cleaning,
be there.
you know, for taking care of the people, the seniors.
I think a lot of seniors are gonna use it.
Well, they might use it, but what I'm saying is, if the basketball kids come and play basketball one night a week, and this isn't, we're not getting enough money to pay for that, the money, can it come out of millage money? Because millage money says 60 and older,
Well, and here, that's what the beauty,
unless I'm saying it wrong.
that's the beautiful thing about having our representative from the commissioners on the finance committee. She's gonna tell us if there's something that is suspect, but
Oh,
for
thanks
instance,
all the weight.
yeah. But if you look at it right now, if somebody comes in who's under 60 and wants a congregate meal, okay? Millage funds are paying for those meals, so we're providing,
Well, they're
Deal.
paying for it though.
But
They
not-
are
Yeah,
paying
but
for it
we're
out of their
paying-
pocket.
but not what the meal costs. I mean, they might be paying $6 and the meal might cost us $12. So millage funds are providing and have always provided meals for non-sick,
The mill-
non-seniors.
The millage funds covers above and beyond, like our congregate meal, if we spent $30,000 one month, but we only made $5,000 in donations, I have to take 25,000 from our millage money to make up the excess of that.
Right. But you're feeding the seniors.
And if you- Not
Anybody.
necessarily,
Right, anybody that walks in,
right?
Well,
I mean, they might pay
Don't-
for their donation or.
And
But it's not the cost of what it costs. It could cost $8 to make a meal, but we're only charging if they're under $66, so I still have to have the additional money. It also helps pay our employees to keep the senior center open.
You don't have employees that only service seniors.
Right.
Right,
I mean, if you have 5 people in the kitchen, you don't have 4 working for the seniors and 1 working for the non-seniors. They're all working towards the same cause, and that is to provide the meals. But the other thing is, you've got a jillion, you've got custodial, you've got, forgive me, toilet paper to buy. You've got washing your hands paper to buy. I mentioned the custodian, all of those costs, those are generic costs that the millage helps to pay for. And there's, to finite it into, well, we had 1 person there that wasn't a senior. I think you're doing a disservice. You have to look at the whole package of all the people you serve. And 1 or 2 might not be a senior. But then again, the largest majority of them are seniors. And you're laying the foundation for service to 60 and older. And the custodian's gonna clean whether he's got a 60-year-old or a 40-year-old. That's utilized, you know.
And don't forget, they're gonna be paying dues every month. You know, if you're gonna belong to the gym, you're gonna have to pay your dues. You're gonna belong to the fitness center, you're paying dues. So, and like Carolyn was just saying, the custodian just doesn't clean the rooms for the seniors. They have to clean the whole part. They have to clean up all the, you know, machines. So the millage is to keep our center open. No matter how you look at it.
And to go back to your point about the game room, for instance, maybe you readjust your figures.
Right.
Maybe you go from that 25 cents to a 50 cent or whatever.
I know personally, there's not a single square foot of that 50,000 square foot facility that I, as a senior, won't be using. Pickleball, basketball, game room, fitness, congregate meals, outdoor venues, there's not a single square foot, and I'm a senior. So I don't have any problem saying that everything in there and every service we provide is going to be for seniors.
Even in the winter, if the seniors wanna walk the gym, they can walk the gym. I mean, it's gonna be used by seniors.
I think one of the coolest things is that this area has been lacking something for the young people to do for so long. There's, I mean, yeah, it's for seniors, but as a grandma, I can bring my grandson in and we can play video games, or we can play foosball, or he can learn to play pool without having to go to a bar, you know, and there's just a ton of things that the youth have been denied in Alcona County for so long. It's, even if a grandparent has to buy the membership, I'm positive that money's gonna be coming through the door for that.
I guess the question right now is, do we want to go to 0.825, leave it at 0.825, or do we authorize Bob to go 9.925, and then possibly reduce it if we don't need that much, like Carolyn said? We can do that.
Difference is almost $95,000.
Mhm.
Over 5 years.
No, 95,000 per year.
Okay.
Well, that would be the first year. And that's an approximate figure. Veterans can back out at any time from the tax system. And, it doesn't even take board review or anything. So that would modify the revenue stream from the taxes. And there are other causes also.
Well, I mean, I think as somebody who hasn't been to the meeting or hasn't watched our last few meetings on video, I think it's very clear that I've made that the idea that we are not reliant on millage funds is not, the idea that was put forth is false. We are from 65 to 75% reliant upon property tax millage funds. Then we're 20 to 22% reliant every year on awards, grants from NEMSCA, and the remaining 8 to 10% are funds that we get from congregate meals or donations or whatever, which we wouldn't be getting if we weren't providing those funds, using millage funds to provide those. So we are absolutely 65 to 70%, 75% reliant on property tax millages to keep the doors open. And that's just the facts, and that's going by the numbers that I've presented to you in the past.
I mean, of all of our services that we provide, if I had to guesstimate of all the services, the home delivered meals, we maybe get 10 to 15% of our clients that give a donation. Very, very minimal.
Do we send letters out occasionally and every month? Every month
It's
we
just
do?
a suggested donation because that's all we can do. But there's I mean, we're for unity. We just people don't have a lot of extra money, so we don't get a lot of
Exactly.
donations. We really don't get a lot of donations. So our millage really is a huge thing for us.
I kind of think if we ask to do the raise, the higher one, we might get turned down because we're asking for an increase. Maybe if we stay the same, just tell them it's a renewal, it might go over better.
And I know a lot of them have commented, like they don't pay a donation because they pay it in their taxes.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, they do.
Well, you can look at what happened with the last school millage that was presented. It got voted down by 2/3 of the community. So. we
The
might
advantage
wanna
will-
tread lightly, is my point.
The advantage we'll have is that if this is on November, people will see that there's a new 50,000 square foot building. They will have had a chance to see it. They know that what they're paying for, that got paid for, but not the operating expenses. They'll know that these funds that they're authorizing, that's what it's going for. They see it, as opposed to the school bond, whereas they wanted to build this, or they wanted to do this. This is a little different. They're gonna actually see something in November and say, that's what they did using the $12.5 million. That's what they did. Now we need to operate it, which of course the grant doesn't provide for operating funds. You can build the building, but it has to be maintained in such a way.
Well, it's still a cost factor.
I'm not sure that's gonna be their mentality. They're gonna be, they shouldn't have built that new building if they couldn't afford to take care of it. That's more like what they're gonna build. They're gonna think. And that's gonna be the word on the street. Cause we know who's gonna put it.
So
Is there any way to make this a 925 for the first year and then roll it back to the previous?
That's what Carolyn said.
Yes.
But how are the people gonna know that they're getting a break? I mean, yeah, it'll be nice, but how are the people gonna be aware of the fact that we're not using what we asked for?
Wouldn't we have to put it up for a vote if we wanted to roll it back from
No,
9.5?
well, the board would have to vote on it.
Yeah, so the public would know about this because the first year it was more expensive, but second year, boy, we found out we don't need that much money.
You may not want to make that decision by the second year. But the
Third.
third year though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I say for sure, if it's appropriate. for
I
sure.
would think that we could sell it real easy, is my point. The public would be happy to accept a tax rollback after 2
The
years.
public will never believe you that you're gonna do a tax rollback.
Surprise them.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And
Well, there's always going to be startup costs that, in that first year. And that's why I would limit it to the first year, to be honest. And get over the startup costs because that's where most of your over expenditures, if you will take place. And I think just by looking at that last school millage, I mean, people are gun shy when it comes to millages. And especially in this county.
I'm just a little concerned if we go with the higher amount and then we don't need it. If the word gets out in the public, they're gonna say, yeah, they asked for all this money and they didn't even need it. So why give it to them if they don't need it? And
Well,
then
we're gonna need
they
it.
they might turn down a future millage.
We have to worry about the future in the future, but this millage is, we may need it, you got everything starting up and the last thing I want is, excuse me, is not to have enough for the seniors. That's critical that we have enough for the seniors.
And I mean, I think it's important to realize we don't have as much money as we did before. We lost $173,000 in the stock market. We had to pay architect fees of $240,000 out of ACCOA funds that weren't reimbursable by that grant. We lost $168,000 on the non-emergency transport that a lot of people might not know unless they're watching the videos or talking to us board members. So we don't have as much money as people might have been led to believe, or certainly we don't have as much money. So can we float this for a year? I think so, but
And this board, and the people also know that the previous board lost that money. This
Yes.
board
I was
did
going
not.
to say there was some mismanagement there that.
It was mismanaged by the previous board. It was not this board that lost that money.
I'm just trying to be political.
Correct. So,
Yeah, exactly.
we say we lost it. We did not lose it. The money was lost.
Yeah, but the public doesn't view it as, we lost it no matter what the public,
Correct.
what
Yeah,
happened.
we're the new board.
We did. And it's money lost, you guys are to blame,
Right.
so,
Okay, let's vote.
well, I'd like to make a motion to have the millage go to the 925 for the first year with a rollback to the
pick
825.
one of these two.
I would say then, extending the 825,
The 825?
yes.
I second extending the 825, the one that we have now.
So what are we voting on
Which
then?
one you want to go on?
The millage.
The mill.
Oh, no, I don't.
We're not voting on anything.
He did say, he said, the first time he said the 9, and then the second time he said the 8. So.
That's because Carolyn said one or the other.
I said that you don't have in front of you an option for a 9 the first year.
Correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
That was why I said that.
Okay.
So which one did you make a motion on?
The 825 extension.
Renew the one that we have. And I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to extend our senior millage as it currently reads at 8.25, a 0.825. Beginning with the year December 1st, 2026, and extending through the year 2030. So that would take a roll call
As a discussion, I think the beautiful thing about that, and I could be convinced of either of these, asking for a little bit more or keeping it, is that it shows that, look, we have cleaned things up. You know, Wendy has cleaned things up. We, the board, has cleaned things up. A lot of the money we have in the bank account, I mean, remember from 2020 to 2021, the previous board raised property taxes 75%. That money, some of it hasn't been frittered away. We still have some of it. So that's the beauty of, if we keep it at 0.825, we're saying, look, we're going to tighten our belt and we're going to live within our means. And we have some money that we're going to be drawing down, but that money came from you, the taxpayers. And rather than coming back and asking for more, we're gonna tighten our belt and keep it at this lower amount.
And I think by having 28 employees instead of 40, we have tightened our belt and we have shown that we can.
And also keep in mind, we are getting a backhanded increase, because I can tell you right now, just by looking at what my Zillow estimates are on my property, from when I bought it 4 years ago till now, it's over $100,000 in increased, marketable value. And so our, tax,
But you're not
Base.
taxed on marketable value.
I understand that, but we also are going to get the maximum amount of increase in state, property taxes of 5% per year for the foreseeable future because of that, okay? And that is, part of what is going to go into the increase in that 825. We're going to realize more dollars. It's not gonna, percentages are one thing, but you pay bills with dollars. And that's where you're going to find that increase in property values is going to help.
But your 781 is what you would get
Right.
next year.
Yeah.
Which is not really much of an increase.
I agree.
Right. So we have a motion by Stepanowski to leave our senior millage at 0.825. We have a second by Pam
And
to accept the 825 motion. Roll call vote.
Bachhorst,
Yes.
Stepanowski,
yes.
Turd, yes. Potter,
Yes.
Schlicker,
Yes.
and McKinnon.
Yes.
Can I add one thing now that that's passed?
Yeah.
What we just did right here, none of this is reflected in previous minutes as ever being done. Having a discussion, it's never reflected in the in the minutes. There was no committee minutes. So I don't know if how this decision was ever done in the past, but it certainly wasn't done in an open forum like this that people can watch for the future. It wasn't done. I don't know how it was done. So, can this be a messy business? Yes, but it has to be done in public, and we just did it in public.
The other thing we have to do now is let our secretary know whether to go over to the county building and put it into August? Or do we do the November? We need a motion to, which one are we going to choose? We have to make a motion to allow Dr. Turek to go over to the county building and find out who's putting it on for the 4 other villages, or do we want to go on a separate, do we want to go on alone by ourselves, you know, in August, or do we want to go whatever is the best option?
Isn't that something that Bob could determine when he,
We have to give him the authority. I think he's gonna use the best judgment for our board. If he sees there's 4 in August, he's not gonna put us on, no.
sounds like a splendid idea to give him that authority, because he tends to make good decisions, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make a motion to allow Bob to make that decision.
I second that.
Okay.
If,
Motion.
if we're all in agreement that it's best not to put it at the same time as all the other ones. I don't know. I've never done this. It seems common sense to me that you wouldn't want to put it at the same time as 4 other people. I don't know.
Although you gotta look at what you're going up against. I mean, EMS, the last time they got their millage increase, the guy turned around and took a humongous raise. That went around the courthouse like hotcakes. So to me, that don't even count. People are gonna remember that. I think we should go on one that it's not gonna cost us extra money. But I'm not worried about who we're going up against because apples to oranges,
Well, extensions are easier than increases, obviously,
yeah,
but,
just my opinion, you know, I mean, I don't wanna pay extra. But I'm not afraid of being on a ballot with other people either.
So for
Exactly.
instance, if I go there on April 30th and I'm there at 4:30 in the evening and I find that 4 people are doing it, 4 organizations are doing it in August, should I say, look, we're gonna do ours in November? Is that the general?
that's the motion that I put forward.
That's what I would say too.
Okay. So motion by Stefanowski, seconded by Broadhurst to allow Bob Turek, secretary, to go to the courthouse and make the best determination on when to put that on the ballot, either in August or put it in November.
I'll vote for that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then the only other thing is in preparation for this, I contacted Stephanie Eller, the clerk, and there was a deadline to put this in front of the commissioners. And so that's gonna be May 1st, that we present this to the commissioners, the language that we just approved. It gets presented to Stephanie, it comes for the commissioners, and I don't know if they need me or Wendy or Phil to make a presentation like the EMS
Not-
did.
I would say not normally, especially since it's basically a renewal, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. I mean, you're always welcome.
And then the only other thing I had committee wise is that, as Andy said, I'm doing research. The best size of machines for the arcade game room, the best quality, you know, such, and I should have a report ready for that. The new building project committee, I should have that by, the first week in May to present to you. And Andy knows a little bit because he gave me the leads on some people to contact, but I'll have that all presented to you. You know, there's a lot of decisions that are gonna have to be made. You know, for instance, a skee ball machines, you can buy them at 8 foot, 10 foot, or 13 foot. You know, which length do you buy? A shuffleboard table, you can go from 10 foot, 12, 14, or regulation 22 foot. So there's a lot of decisions, but I mean, I'll make a report and present that to you. You know, the pinball machines, how to buy new, how to buy used, who services the technicians that we've been able to find, the pros and cons. I'll have that all laid out so you guys can make that best decision, and I'll either give that to you or I can come make a report at that meeting.
That's all we have. Then we will move to unfinished business.
I would like to maybe have a special meeting next week after Wendy talks to, our attorney on this loan with Lenny. And I kind of agree with Pam. We gotta get this ironed out. We gotta get it solved. If we have to take him to court, let's take him to court, but let's get it done. So I would suggest we have a meeting, another board meeting, next week, one day after she has a chance to talk to Alex.
Well, I don't know about next week, but the following week, possibly give it 2 weeks, because he may say he's gonna send a letter to the attorney for one last time. He may say, you know, give me a couple weeks to get it, you know, we can't decide anything until
I
whatever.
know, but haven't we given
We've
him
given
enough
him-
time?
We have given him
I
enough
think-
time, but the thing is we also have to go, you know, give our attorneys, you don't get this solved overnight. It's not, it's gonna take a while because,
And I don't think we're using the right attorney. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's, but you know how they work.
Yeah, I do know how they work. That's what I'm saying.
That's,
It
so
doesn't take.
I would think possibly like the second week of May, somewhere in that area.
And I'd like to
Well, let-
say for the record here for this video or for people who haven't been at previous meetings, an SBA loan was taken out and the main contact with the SBA is a previous executive director. So they will not release us any information as to how to pay this. We want to pay this off. The board is authorized to pay this off. We can't get any authorization, can't even pay it off because the previous executive director, is the sole contact. And so we're having trouble taking care of this because that person, we can't access. We don't even know if there's interest been added to it. We have no idea if the loan has been increased in the loan language. It says that you could increase this. Yeah, so we're making payments on something without knowing that there's anything that it's going where it should be going. I mean, it's just, it's a bad
We're probably
situation.
paying interest upon interest.
Right, and we've also contacted the SBA law department, and they will not give us, they won't give us one iota to even what the amount we owe. Because the previous executive director,
Are we
Yes.
still paying,
we're still,
still making payments?
oh yeah, well, yeah. So until we can get that taken care of, where the SBA the company that give them the loan decides that,
Well, you could stop paying them. I'm sure that would catch their attention.
You would think.
you think about it, huh? I wouldn't mind. If I was on the hook, that would definitely get my attention, but it hasn't.
They might drag you into court then, and then you'd be able to address them in front of the judge.
I'm just saying, we have been in touch. We have worked our tail off to try to get this paid off, and they will not. We even had other financial executives contact them, and they won't give them any information. No, it's to a standstill.
You must have a contract with them, then you should be able to get the contract and see what the stipulation.
They won't give it to us because
We have.
we do not have our name on it. They will not give us anything that has the executive director, the past executive director's initials on it and his home address and we can't even get statements. They won't allow us to get statements.
Something sounds very squirrely about
Yeah,
that.
because normally a loan, especially to an organization, has not only that person, but it's also known as their successors. Okay, and that's normally what's in there.
Not
But you're
this one.
working with the government.
Right, federal government.
Does that explain it? It's a small
Not
business
this one.
administration.
So it's not that this board has not tried. We've tried and tried and tried. So
And every time we talk to a lawyer, it just costs us more money and he likes when we have to spend money.
And to reiterate, for anybody who hasn't been to our meetings or who's watching this, we have no idea, we have no records of what that money went towards. And that was taken out at a time when we had over $700,000 in the bank. That loan was taken out. What it was put forth, whether it went to who knows? We have no idea. But that's one of the things Susan Cray said. She could not find any documentation in the ACCOA files regarding that.
But you still access that account and draw more money from it,
Yes, he can,
and you have no way of knowing if he is.
correct.
Because we don't know what the balance, is. They won't give us the balance. I mean, not just myself, but Denise, the previous executive director before me, plus Susan Craig worked on it. I know before I even came here, Patty and Leroy were working on it, so
Well-
people have been diligently working on this for well over a year.
I don't see how there couldn't be corruption at the center of this.
Yeah, somehow,
Why
we've got to
can't-
find a way to expedite it.
We now have the name of the regional director out of Chicago. And I think that's been turned over to the attorney now.
I sent that to Alex and we're gonna confirm that I never heard back from which is a little unusual. Wendy's gonna talk to him tomorrow and confirm that he's gotten that, but also got some other information from
I did
Bergman's
get the
office.
call from Congressman Bergman's office yesterday, so I'm working with them.
Very
Thank you.
good. Well, back to Dolores's request for a meeting after, subsequent to Wendy's with the attorney. Do we want to move forward on that?
I think our president is the only person who can make that determination to call a special meeting. I mean, if he talks to Wendy after the next couple, days, and that would be beneficial.
Mhm.
But Wendy said she'd email us an update too, so we would all be aware.
I would think that we could even file a lawsuit to him. Or to the company, the SBA loan company. Why can't we file a lawsuit?
We can't
Because
file
you
a
don't
lawsuit.
file
Yeah.
a lawsuit
Yeah.
against the federal government.
Can't do that yet. No, that's,
I mean, we've waited all this time.
baby steps.
I know, but after a while, it gets kind of ridiculous.
Especially being open to further fraud.
Right,
And then you said, I take into account what Carolyn said, you're dealing with the federal government, so we have to take steps that we have to take to get this corrected, so. But if a special meeting is to be called after Wendy talks, then I would definitely let everybody know that we're gonna have a special meeting on possibly the second week of May, possibly the first week of May, depends on when our attorney,
I would think the sooner the better.
well, as soon as he tells you, you gotta take steps that have to be taken, so you. Okay. So much for unfinished business, on new business. Do we have any new business?
I have one thing I didn't mention earlier. We're in the process of buying a new food truck.
Getting some bids out or
No,
asking for
we've
bids? or
already
you
got all that stuff. We're beyond that. We got it ordered. I'm just working with them on getting the truck paid for. I mean, you guys had approved that. Then the truck will go to that Delivery Concepts and then they'll put the refrigeration and cooler system or heat and refrigeration system on it. So it's looking probably end of July, beginning of August when we'll get the truck.
Oh, good.
Do we have any idea how to make the new logo, use the new logo to put that on the vehicles? Do we know who does that?
We had some business cards made from a place in Oscoda, and they do like stickers, magnets, different things, so I'm gonna check into them to see what it would cost to get some logos put on all of our vehicles, or, new logos put on all of our vehicles.
Would that be painted or like static cling type applications?
I'm gonna find out if if they have like we have now, like the stickers or the magnets maybe. I mean, Phil said magnets might not be great because they get dirt and stuff underneath of them and scratch stuff. So, but yeah, I'm gonna find out further on that.
Because what Phil and I were talking about that, the grant money allows us to furnish build the facilities and furnish things. And we can have, for instance, new cornhole boards made. Okay, that people can use to play cornhole inside. It'd be nice to have our logo on that, and there's a person here that makes some local that we can get custom made, cornhole board. That's the kind of thing we can use grant funds for that, but we can't use them for salaries or anything
Right.
like that.
So everybody knows, and it is a 2024 Dodge four-wheel drive, 3.8 liter V6, 8-speed transmission. Pickup, it's a crew cab, so they have access to the back, should we have any, for fire extinguishers, help, equipment. So yeah, we took the steps to make sure everything was what we needed on that truck. So it's gonna be a 2024 Dodge. It's gonna have a 5-year warranty on maintenance and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a nice vehicle.
One other thing, for Wendy, have you given any thought to a property coordinator at this point? And is that something that would be, someone who would be hired here in the next month or two?
I don't know. My main thing is getting an HR person hired. Then we're looking probably at, I don't know the
Time.
time frame of who gets hired, but I would think like the property care manager, whatever, would have to get hired. Then some facilities crew underneath that person. We're gonna have to hire, some more cooks. Because my cooks I have now, they're tapped out at their 40 hours. That wouldn't give any extra time for special events or anything like that, so we'll have to probably get additional cooks hired.
Do we know if all the cooks that we currently have on staff are going to make the move to the new facility?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We're gonna need a person, a fitness person, maybe 2 fitness people. I mean, I was writing some stuff down too. I mean, I know like Andy had mentioned something about somebody in the arcade that's gonna have to make sure, I mean, stuff has to be, wiped down, money is gonna have to come out of there. So if I had maybe, I don't know, a fitness person who maybe could be taking care of equipment and the arcade. I mean, so there's a possibly maybe 2 fitness people.
Okay, I have a question though. We don't have this person here. Why would one be required there? And I'm not trying to be.
No, I think because there's basically 3 gyms there. There's equipment people are gonna need, we don't have a fitness person here, but Megan's up here all the time showing people how to use equipment or what settings to get stuff on. We'll have a crew to a janitor or maintenance crew, but I still think there's gonna be somebody that, if there's a bunch of people in there doing different things, keeping things going, because there's a pickleball court, there's the basketball, there's the fitness room, whether it's setting up stuff or I don't know. I really don't know. I mean,
I don't
these are
either,
just,
that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
I mean, signing people up with memberships. I mean, this,
Exactly.
nobody
It's-
pays.
yeah.
People are going to pay
Mhm.
at this next,
Right.
signing people up.
There's gonna, that is a big thing of that, and then if there's different classes that somebody wants to, say we have a yoga instructor, she wants to come in and teach yoga for 8 weeks. We're gonna have somebody that can make sure that room's set up, that's reserved for those 8 weeks. They're gonna have to do, not only am I gonna have probably an event coordinator to do all of the events that we do now as a senior center, but also, somebody to do weddings,
The general public.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be. So,
Is our gyms there, are they gonna be open till like 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night? Or,
Possible.
so you're gonna have to have somebody that can be there
Two
too.
people, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's what she was saying, two people.
Right.
You know, one in the day and one in the evening.
I mean, somebody should always be there for,
Emergencies too.
right, I mean, something could happen. I mean, if the gym is open and maybe only one person is in a yoga room doing exercises, what if something happens?
Yeah.
You know, there should always be somebody keeping an eye on the gyms, the game room.
Are we gonna take this equipment over
Probably
there?
not.
All this
A lot
equipment?
of this is not senior friendly. All the equipment we're getting over there is gonna be senior friendly. That was, no, this is probably go up for sale.
This stuff,
So cardio-based equipment?
Correct.
basically?
Correct.
and usually, well, I know Bob and Lisa have replaced stuff with stuff up there. Bill's been in here multiple times tightening stuff down. Megan's up here tightening stuff down. So it's just not
I was just up here
great stuff. I mean,
Wednesday of Thursday of last week.
right,
Two young ladies told me that the handles were ready to fall off two of those machines. So I brought my wrench set up, my sockets, and I repaired those, and now everything is back to heavy duty. So yeah, when they get used, things loosen up,
Right.
and you need somebody to, take care of it, so
right.
I just came up and did it, and it's done, and it's safe, and we were happy. So, okay, let's move on. Any other new business? If not, we'll move on to public comment.
Harrisville. Couple of comments and concerns regarding this loan. The current attorney that you have, I believe, is specialized in nonprofits. You may want to consider a criminal attorney. This honestly smells like it could be a criminal
It's,
case, because the organization is being held hostage by this loan, you can't get information. So in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, it looks criminal to me. So, I mean, I would maybe look at looking into that further. And yeah, I mean, you gotta move on this, and I would straight up ask the attorney, which, like I said, he's a nonprofit attorney, so he may not have the correct answer, but what would happen if you simply stop paying? I mean, is this technically even under your tax ID number? How is, if this person, it's in his name and everything goes to his home, it should be his responsibility. So I would pursue that.
Wendy, are we
Thank
getting
you.
invoices here for that loan?
No, but it is also an ACCOA, so it will hurt us also.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? Okay, I'll close, public comments, directors, additional comments and concerns.
I have one thing I forgot to ask about, the transportation. You had mentioned how much money we lost on that, and we know that we're not doing that anymore. Have we sold the vehicle? I mean, are we going to?
No, actually, the bus is at JB right now. We're gonna test out a couple, one of the, substitute food drivers is actually going today to get his, chauffeur's license. And we've been getting a ton of requests about different trips going the congregate have been asking to go up to Alpena, to their senior center to have a meal. I've had trips to casino, you name it, I've had a rap sheet of things that people have been asking for. So we thought, we have it, let's try a couple of things, see if we can make some money off of it. If not, then we can sell them, I mean, but why not keep it and try to do some things and see how it goes? I mean,
I talked to Wendy about it, and I had a gentleman from Thunder Bay Transport call me and said, why don't you guys take your, some of your clients to the Alcona Health Center? He goes, we gotta come all the way down from Alpena just to take them from Lincoln to the health center. And it's like, well, cause right now we don't have that. He's like, well, yeah, we sat there for an hour and wait for him. And he said, we can't leave the parking lot. He goes, it would just make sense, and so I talked to Wendy about that. And we've also had seniors ask us to take them to games, could they transport to games at Alcona or Tawas or to watch their kids play. They don't like driving at night. So possibly if we can find a happy margin where we can profit from it, or at least break even, as long as we don't lose money.
We lose money just by insuring it.
Well, right now, okay, so the bus is sitting there, we're paying for it.
I
Well, we
know,
might as well
but
try to
we've been
utilize it.
talking about it for months, what we're gonna do. And we just
Give us time.
said it was no. Time.
We're getting it,
A
the baby
year.
steps.
What-
Yeah.
Well, he just said we lost 180 some thousand, and I mean, it's really cool to say, yeah, let's plan a casino trip, and that's nice. But there's bus companies that have those that you just hook up into with them. Taking our seniors up to the other senior center for them to have congregate meals there takes away from having them here. I mean, I'm not saying no, but it's a lot of money that could be going somewhere else.
And then you,
So, we're asking for a millage because we need to keep going. But, and then there's gonna be maintenance on that vehicle that's been
Mhm.
sitting for how long? And so that means it's at the shop right now.
and the other thing is, we're trying to provide for seniors, and you can't provide for them if you don't have it. So,
We took
We lost-
something away.
but we lost money prior, but that was going to Saginaw and going to Grand Rapids and going to different places out of Alcona County, picking up people out of Alcona County and not getting the proper fees.
Are you still gonna have the seniors pay to get picked up to take them to the
They pay
doctor
for
then?
Thunder Bay Transport,
Okay.
yeah, they pay, they have to pay.
I mean, they'd have to pay if they wanted to go up to a lunch or something,
Right?
if they wanna go to the casino, we've talked, maybe it's whatever fee it would be and a sack lunch, it's not, we're not just gonna run it for free, but somebody may rather pay $20 to drove to Tawas to watch a ball game because they don't have the transportation or they don't like driving at night, so $20 is worth it to them to get dropped off at the door, not have to drive at night or anything like that. So, all we can do is try.
Although you got $20, and if it's only one person.
Well, we
to go to
wouldn't
that.
go for one person, it would have to be,
That'd be a
we'd have to have an X amount, figure out how we're not gonna lose money, so we have to have at least this amount of people go to this, cause we have to still pay a driver.
Right.
And, we'll have to figure all that out.
I would like to figure out a way to take, dialysis patients to Alpena. 1 day a week or 2 days a week, and take 7 or 8 of them at once. Take them all up there, let them get their dialysis, and then bring them back home.
That's,
Because I have had a lot of people, one lady drives up and she takes 3 people with her own car.
Mhm.
And she said she really missed when we dropped it. She depended on that.
Well, we have to make
So-
sure, there again, I know as a family member that had care, that we were healthcare
Right.
servants, that we did that and we had to hire Thunder Bay. Cause there was nobody here and it wasn't cheap and, but we paid it. And when you have to pay it, you have to pay it. So,
But it might be something for us to look into though.
correct.
Because
Correct.
there's several people here in this
Yeah.
county that get they have dialysis.
Correct. So that's another avenue that we're gonna try out and see if things work out. If it doesn't, then we see a for sale sign on it. So let's give our, executive director the chance to expand our role. That's what we hired her for.
Well,
And if,
to refresh everybody's memory, the board did vote several months ago to authorize Wendy to pursue
mhm,
efforts to see if that was financially possible to start back somewhat. Now, of course, since then, we've gotten the actual figures from the accountants that we lost $50,000 a year. Subsequent to that, now we know that Wendy has cut things down as much as she can to deal with our new budget realities. So money wise, is it gonna be able to be done? I don't know, but on that note, I did have somebody bring in to the office a letter that they got from Meridian, that Meridian says, and I passed it on to Wendy, and that Meridian is authorizing as part of their coverage that people can call and get transport. So I impersonated this person and I called up kinda and I said, well, who is providing this service? And the agent said, well, it might be whoever the dispatcher sends you to. So it sounds like there's more than one person that there might be. So the senior transport is still available. If it's available to Meridian members, I can't imagine that it's not available to somebody else.
We back up just for a second. I'm curious about one thing. How is it that a county commission on aging qualifies for a small business administration loan? What business are we in over here that would even be considered for that?
But it was during COVID when they were just shoveling, I had a fire hose shooting out money to anybody and everybody. that was during that time. I mean, it was just how much money was put out for any reason.
Okay, smoke and mirrors. I can accept
Well, I
that.
mean, just money was pumped out and, but that,
That they won't tell you who's got it and won't open up their books to
settle
the
down.
COA. There's gotta be something corrupt here.
Oh, okay.
Is that the loan that we've got like 30 years to pay it off? Is that the one? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And he just figured it's good money, free money. We don't have to pay it back for 30 years.
No, paid back before 18 months was deferred. So, okay, any other directors' comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so move.
I'll
Second.
second.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass.
Hammer away? They keep your hammer.
Yeah, I don't see it. I